What is up, my fellow Sambarians, my fellow Actitos? So I haven't made a YouTube video in, I don't even know how long. It's been a very long time. And I recently just did a bunch of work to this guy here. And I just did quite a bit of work to this blue Acty here. And so I thought I would just kind of go over some maintenance items that are good to do with a freshly imported K car or K truck from Japan. Obviously this is, useful for all of them, Mitsubishis, Daihatsus, but today we're really going to be just talking about the Sambar, the Subaru Sambar, and the Daihatsu Acty, the Honda Acty. So maybe you don't even have one. Maybe you're just like, man, I don't know if I want a Sambar. I don't know if I want a Honda Acty. Stay away from the Mitsubishis. Sorry, Mitsubishi guys. I do not like mini cabs. I am just not a fan of the Mitsubishis. But Mitsubishi's got a Pajero, which is cool, and their turbo, they just suck to work on. I'm just gonna admit, they're no fun to work on. But these ones, less sucky to work on for sure. So again, if you don't have one and you're like, I don't know what I really want, maybe this will help, give you some pros and cons, so which one you might want to try to import. So first off, we have this beautiful Subaru Sambar, KS4. So the KS4 stands for four-wheel drive. If it was a KS3, it would be two-wheel drive. KS is a truck, KV is a van. So just think KV van, KS truck. So this guy, Jerry, who owns this one, owns Forsetti Refinishing. So he does like painting, and I think he probably does some body work and stuff like that. But as you can see, hopefully you can see, that comes up in the camera. I'll do a close up. This like super sick, pearly, it's like a mix between I think he said a Civic Type R and the Porsche 911 paint job. Just so cool. I love that color, because from afar it looks kind of like a glossy Nardo gray or primer or something, but then once you get up close you can really see the pearl. And then we have this big wicked lip down here, which is really cool. I think that came off of, he said, a Suzuki, I believe. So there are some lips for the Sambars, but I don't think they're as lippy as the Suzuki for sure. So just really cool. And this one is a round eye version, so not all Sambars are round eyes. They have square eyes. These have the round, obviously. He's got fog lights in it and clear turn signals, which is really cool. Those were made by somebody in the Sambar squad for a while. I don't think they make them anymore, but really cool looking. So we'll get onto the Honda Acty in a second here, but this was originally imported by my buddy Special Case, who does all our squid pipe exhausts and all that stuff. And I just wanted to point this out for any future importers or anyone who's going to be importing something from Japan and is offered services while it is in Japan. Now, it really just depends on the situation. If you're not anywhere near a K mechanic or anybody who wants to work on one of these, maybe you'll want to have it done in Japan. But if that's the case, just double check their work, because Special Case had it serviced in Japan prior to leaving, and the new owner, who Special Case sold it to Jerry, he brought it here for some work like motor mounts and stuff, and he noticed the cam seal was leaking. So I'm like, oh, that's weird. It was serviced in Japan. Why is the cam seal already leaking? It's been like, 2 years, maybe 2 years. So anyways, I took it all apart to check out why we were getting an oil leak, and the timing belt was already cracking on literally every groove. It was cracking. The cam seal was leaking, the crank seal was leaking. It did look to have a new water pump, but I don't know. So that's what I'm saying. If you have the chance to get it serviced in Japan and you take it because you don't know anybody local to you to work on it, double check their work. Just do your best to double check their work. It's not that difficult, especially on a Sambar. Acty is a little more difficult to check a timing belt because you literally have to take everything off just to look at the timing belt, unless you can borescope it or something. But that's why I prefer Sambar. It's much easier to work on than an Acty. But you can take the timing cover off the Sambar and you can inspect it. And you would have seen that it was already cracking, which is crazy. They're supposed to be 10 years, 100,000 kilometers. So that's why I'm saying just be sure to inspect their work in Japan when it gets here. Don't automatically assume, oh, it came from Japan. They did an amazing job over there. I mean, they're just like, there's probably shady people over there like there are shady people here in the United States. So just double check their work. So anyways, I did a whole new timing belt service basically on this one. All new motor mounts. So if you're getting a fresh import, it's a very inexpensive, huge upgrade to replace all your motor mounts. On the Sambar, there are 3. On the Acty, there are 3. You have one on the right side, one on the left side, and one in the front on a Sambar. And then on the Acty, you have one on the left, one on the right, and one in the back. And the left side one is the one you are removing when you're doing the timing belt change anyways. So you might as well get yourself a motor mount while you're doing a timing belt, which I do offer that on my website if you buy a timing belt kit to add a left-hand motor mount, which I'm out at the time of this making, but that's okay. I think there's a huge delay in Japan with those at the moment because nobody can seem to get them. So anyways, I had to reinstall the old one, unfortunately, on his, but I was able to replace the right-hand one and the one in the back. And that made a huge difference in itself already. You're gonna feel a lot of movement with the engine. If you have air conditioning, when the air conditioning kicks on, you're gonna feel a lot of vibration. So just do your motor mounts. Like, make that one of the top priorities when you get a fresh import. Do your motor mounts, so then you're already done with that. The engine feels great. It shifts smoother. It feels more powerful because you're not getting so much jerk in the engine when you're stomping on the throttle. I know these things just have so much power. You just need to contain it back there. Okay, so yeah, basically I did that. I did a valve cover gasket. We'll go around and look at everything, but those another thing that you should do with a fresh import is most likely you're going to need to change the valve cover gasket. Subaru's very easy. Honda's pretty easy. You got to take the valve cover off or partially off anyways when you do a timing service. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Honda Actys are kind of easy to work on, but at the same time they're a pain in the butt. Subarus, in my opinion, are the easiest. So if you're very new to working on a car, a Subaru is going to be way more friendly than trying to do a Honda Acty timing belt service. There's marks on a timing belt for the Subaru, so you literally cannot mess it up. If you get a timing belt for your Subaru that doesn't have the marks on it, it's probably a cheap Chinese one, and you should throw it away immediately because they snap. Don't buy those cheap Chinese kits that a lot of guys in the United States are selling. I'm not saying you got to buy it from me, but make sure that is a good reputable brand in Japan. I've seen many belts snap and they're Chinese brands, and I know who sells them. I'd rather not say, but just keep an open mind when you're looking for parts. Stay away from those guys who are bundling with Chinese parts like plug wires and just cap and rotors and stuff. The cheap Chinese stuff, you'll know. And I even started in the beginning with that stuff too, and I realized later, like, wow, that stuff was really crappy. The NGKs are a fit, super tight fit snug. The cheap Chinese ones pop off. The distributor caps are just, yeah. So it's a learning experience. You're gonna learn as you go along. You're gonna be like, oh, I wanna save a ton of money, so I buy all these cheap parts. But then later on, you're replacing them anyways with the good Japanese parts that last, 10 years versus maybe a year. In my opinion, I've had to replace quite a few distributor caps and plug wires here because they had bought the cheap Chinese stuff and they just didn't last at all. So totally up to you. But that's my opinion. And I get asked all the time, what kind of parts do I sell on my website? They are 99% of all the parts I sell on my website are coming from Japan and are either OEM or OEM comparable parts. Nothing from China. So just putting that out there, and you're probably, if you see my website, oh, your prices are kind of high. Well, it's because they're all OEM parts and you're getting all the good stuff. So yeah, so that's what these got. OEM parts. I did the fuel filter. That is also a really good thing to do when you get a fresh import. Change your fuel filter. I had an OEM fuel filter for the Honda, and you will know it's an OEM Honda fuel filter if you flick it up and upside down. There's actually a ball bearing inside. I believe it's some kind of shut off. It flips, or it's some kind of a, I believe it's if the car flips, the ball bearing falls down and shuts it off. Kind of like those sodas you can buy from Japan that's got the glass marble in the top, and you flip it upside down when you're trying to drink it and it clogs it off. I believe that's what the purpose of that ball bearing is. So you will know if you have a genuine Honda fuel filter if you shake it and there's a ball bearing inside. So I got genuine Honda fuel filter. I did the timing belt, which is all GMB parts, which is Japanese made parts, they're very comparable to the OEM stuff. This one again got GMB parts, which is comparable to the OEM, so that should last another 10 years easy. I mean, some of these come over with 15-plus-year-old timing belts on them, so they should last a really long time. They shouldn't be snapping within a year or two, buying the cheap Chinese ones, in my experience anyways. What do I know? I don't know nothing. I just work on these things. Okay, so let's go around to the back and you guys can see what's going on. So, as you can see, this is one of the top 5 reasons why I prefer a Sambar over any of the K cars. You can do this. I know some of you aren't concerned about being flashy in the back, and that's okay. Then the Sambar really, that's not going to be a turn on for you for your Sambar. But for me, I've always been about sound and looks and not so much about functionality. I don't really care about functionality as long as it drives and looks cool. I'm stoked on it. I will buy another car for functionality. That's why, you know, we live in America, a great place. We can have as many cars as we want. We can have the unfunctional slammed motor dragging on the ground car, and then we can have the functional stock made for hauling stuff around car. That's why we have options. That's great. So this is awesome. Some of y'all don't want to do that, but if you are into that kind of stuff, you can get, you know, the header, which you can see it. You can do, this is actually the very first squid pipe Special K's made. He like modified the exhaust tip on it, so it's pretty big. But I mean, this is just great because you can see everything, and he powder coated his valve cover. So if you're like in Washington area and you want someone who's K, you know, pretty excited about K cars and does an amazing job painting and powder coating and stuff, definitely reach out to Jerry at Forsetti Refinishing. I hope I'm saying that right. Yeah, Forsetti Refinishing. So, I mean, I'm sure you could Google him and you can, I mean, he does Cerakote, paint repair, accent colors, tail light tint smoke, aftermarket installs, caliper color changes, carbon fiber UV protection. So he does a lot of stuff. And like this truck is a perfect example of how, you know, OCD this guy is when it comes to painting. I mean, he took everything apart. He took the doors off and painted it. He didn't just do like the spray on the outside, so everything matches. It looks really good. So this is cool with the Sambars. You can take the back cover off, you can expose the engine. That's why I don't know if you follow me, I just mainly drive my white Sambar in the summertime. I drove it today because it's actually sunny and not raining. So it's my summertime princess. I do not drive it in the rain just because I don't want to get water and everything flung up inside the engine bay. And obviously I'm not going off-roading in it because I don't want to, you know, I want to keep the engine bay clean. But that's why I have other ones that I can do that and not care about. So yeah, that's what's cool about the Sambar. With an Acty, you don't really see anything back here. He does, I believe that's a Giga N1 muffler. That's the one I have on my Acty van. I really like the way it sounds. We'll do a little, we'll do a cold start so you guys can hear them. But the Acty's cool because you can get the nice exhaust forge real easy. you know, modification, but you can't really see the engine. And when it comes to suspension, I prefer the Sambar way more because this actually has leaf springs, which I'm not a huge fan of leaf springs. The Sambar has independent suspension. So if you want to lower, or mostly lowering, it's very, very easy to lower a Sambar. Obviously, it's very easy to lift it as well. His has lift springs up front and it's stock in the rear. So we'll go over tire sizes in a minute here. But a Sambar, you could obviously get lift shackles and stuff, longer shocks. But it's really difficult to lower a Sambar unless you take a load spring out or mess with your leaves, which in my opinion is a pain in the butt. I just want to put lowering springs on it and be done with it. Again, that's my opinion. I'm just lazy. I want to just throw springs on it and be done. This one takes a little more work. Easy K's, he doesn't have it on this, but Easy K's has lowering adjustable coilovers for the front so you can lift and lower your Honda Acty. So you do have some options for the Acty as far as, you know, modifying it goes. That's pretty much it. I mean, the guy who does our headers for the Sambars has a header for the Acty. I just have not seen anybody install it yet, so I can't say how well that thing works. One of these days we'll get around to hopefully being able to install one of those. So, you know, if you're looking for a K truck where you can get really customizable with it, your Sambar is going to be much friendlier. If you plan on lifting, then obviously you can lift the Acty, but I really like the independent suspension the most. The Sambar does great off-roading, so does the Honda Acty. It does good off-roading, but again, I'm just a huge fan of the independent suspension. Now, when it comes to truck sizes, they're the same size trucks, same size beds, all that stuff. It's just that the cabs in the Honda Actys are a little bit smaller than the Sambar. So if you're a much taller, bigger dude, you are not gonna wanna get a Honda Acty. I think the next biggest one up is a Daihatsu Hijet. So Subaru Sambar and a Daihatsu Hijet are gonna be your best friend. Honda Acty, Suzuki Carry, and a Mitsubishi Mini Cab, they're a little bit on the smaller side. I believe the Mini Cab is a little bit on the smaller side. It's been a while since I've sat in one, but the Honda Actys are very tight, especially the earlier models with the single head square headlight. The, like, I don't know if it's 92, I think it's 92 and up. I think the cab got a little bit more spacious inside. Somehow they reconfigured the seat situation. But these earlier ones with just the one single headlight, 90 to 92 or 91, they're extremely tight inside the cab. I mean, I feel squished inside of it. But the Sambar stays the same throughout, 90 to 98, 99, in a 5th generation Sambar. So if you're looking for more room, you're definitely gonna steer towards a Sambar more than an Acty. But as far as like mechanic wise, I think I kind of went over that. Timing belt servicing and stuff, which, you know, you only need to do one time basically, unless you own it for another 10 years. Timing belt on those things are not, I mean, they're easy because I've done it so many times, but at the same time, you know, I can do a Subaru Sambar timing kit in like an hour, and this thing takes me like, you know, a few hours. It's just, there's more, just, there's less room to work, and it's just, yeah, I'm just, again, I'm a huge fan of the Sambar, obviously. That's mostly what I deal with all the time. And yeah, so let's do a cold start so you guys can hear the Sambar and the Acty. Sounds pretty good. Now there is going to be a difference. I forgot to talk about this. The Honda Actys were either carbureted or the vans. There were some vans that were fuel injected. No trucks ever came fuel injected unless someone did a motor swap. Mostly the Honda street vans had fuel injection. So all the rest of them were carbureted. Now if you want something with more power, obviously you can read supercharger. So Sambars came with carbureted versions, and the truck came with a supercharger. The van, which is a KV, the van came with carburetor, the van came with fuel injected, and the van came with supercharger. So obviously carbureted is going to be the slowest. The next quickest one is going to be the fuel injected van, which I have, I love it. And then the fastest one is going to be supercharged. I think it's like 53 horsepower or something like that. And then you're down in the 40s, obviously, with the carbureted and fuel injected version. So I mean, the Honda Acty sounds pretty good with that Giga. I like it. Now let's do a cold start on the Subaru Sambar Supercharge. So it has a little bit of a throatier sound, but if you're unaware of the lore of the exhausts we build, we call this one the squid pipe because it looks like little tentacles, and then you got the body and then you got the head. So we do sell these. Special K's will make one, usually just randomly, or if someone requests it, he can make one. Or we have the kind, if you want to keep your bumper cover on, we have a kind that just bolts up to your stock manifold and points out so you can keep your cover on, and it sounds really good too. We just call that a behind the bumper muffler, which is, it's all on my website. But yeah, this one sounds really good. Let's do a little rev. Let's see if we can hear the supercharger do a little whine. You can kind of hear the supercharger do a little whiny whine. But yeah, I love the Sambars. What can I say? So again, these were both serviced by me here in Washington. So if you don't want to work on your K car you just imported, you can always reach out to me on my website, okgarage.com. I mean, I got links and stuff, or I've got a bunch of how-to videos. So if you want to work on it yourself, hopefully those videos will help you. But yeah, I hadn't made a video in a long time, so I figured I'd show off these beauties. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. New year, so I wish everybody a happy new year. It's already started off a little bit crazy, but yeah, let's keep moving forward. Like and subscribe and all that fun stuff if you guys would like to. I'd really appreciate it. Keeps me motivated. It's hard to get out here when it's freezing cold. Today is actually sunny. Crazy sunny in Washington in winter. What? But yeah, cool. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I'll see you on the next one.